Now to a killing that's stunned the journalism community and wider public in Pakistan. Arshad Sharif was a top TV news anchor and critic of the powerful military establishment. He fled to Kenya earlier this year after threats to his life. Sharif was shot dead by police on Sunday when a car that he was travelling in drove through a checkpoint outside Nairobi. Police there say it was a case of mistaken identity, but that explanation is being met with scepticism. Calls are growing around the world for a thorough, transparent investigation into Sharif's death.
My condolences to you. I express my condolences to Arshad's colleagues, to his loved ones, to family members, to all those who knew him, who knew his work. We're deeply saddened by the death of Arshad Sharif. We encourage a full investigation by the government of Kenya into his death. It's not entirely clear that we know all the circumstances at this point regarding what led to his death, but we do urge a full investigation.
DW correspondent Felix Maringa is following this story in Nairobi, and he has more on the circumstances surrounding Sharif's death there.
Arshad Sharif met his death on Sunday evening just outside Nairobi. The police in Kenya have since owned up to the shooting incident, which they say was a case of mistaken identity. They were looking for a carjacked vehicle, but the license plate numbers did not nearly match with the one they shot at. The Pakistan High Commissioner to Kenya on Monday was at the morgue where the autopsy was being conducted, and she called for a speedy investigation into the incident that led to Arshad's death. She also promised that Arshad Sharif's body would be airlifted to Pakistan for a proper burial. An investigation has since commenced on the shooting incident and Arshad Sharif's vehicle towed to the nearest police station.
Felix Maringa there. Well, earlier I spoke with veteran journalist Matiullah Jan, who is a prominent critic of Pakistan's judiciary and military, who broadcasts on his YouTube channel MJTV. He knew Arshad Sharif well. I asked him for his reaction to Sharif's killing.
This is very sad and very tragic. I know Arshad Sharif from our 26 years. Actually, we had family terms. My father and his father were friends. We used to visit each other's families for a long time. And we worked together in one of the Dawn News television channels in Islamabad. He was the bureau chief and I was his deputy bureau chief. So when I heard about this tragic assassination of Arshad Sharif, I immediately related it to the circumstances in which Pakistani journalists are living in Pakistan, and particularly the circumstances through which Arshad Sharif had to face, and then he had to leave the country. It is very unfortunate that Arshad had to leave Pakistan under difficult circumstances. There were many cases and registered by the current government against him, and the powerful establishment, military establishment, was also not happy. And as it was never happy with many of journalists like us for the last 6 to 7 years. And we have been facing a lot of pressure and persecution at the hand of the previous government as well. And journalists were really vulnerable to many pressure and intimidation. They faced threats, they faced torture, they faced kidnapping, and in some cases murder in Islamabad. These incidents were increasing during the previous government of Prime Minister Imran Khan. And one of the journalists was shot and he was injured, Absar Alam. Another journalist was tortured inside his house. And another of the journalists, Hamid Mir, he was 6-7 years ago, in 2014, there was an assassination attempt on him in Karachi, and there is no clue about who did it, in spite of the fact that top judges of the country tried to probe the assassination attempt on him. Until today, the people have no clue. A judicial commission report was prepared, but it was never made public.
So thank you very much for outlining the repression and the intimidation that journalists including yourself, have been facing over many, many years now. If I could ask you about Arshad Sharif, what does his death represent to society in Pakistan?
Well, the death of Arshad Sharif is a very strong message, I think, to the people at large and the journalist community in particular, and never to speak against the powerful government and the establishment. It is unfortunate that we see Arshad today not among us, and his family has been waiting for him. It was in very difficult circumstances that he had to leave the country. But the message is very loud and clear. It is the same message that never speak out to the powerful establishment and the government, because the establishment is more powerful than even the government. So this is the message, unfortunately.
Sir, if I can ask you, Kenyan authorities are saying that this was a case of mistaken identity. From where you are in Pakistan, not in Kenya, you don't believe this, I take it?
While being in Pakistan, nobody will buy this theory of mistaken identity. I think this incident needs to be probed and investigated thoroughly. And the Kenyan authorities, whatever they say, there has to be a proper investigation. No police authority across the world will ever accept its mistake or its criminal intention. Even in Pakistan, there are incidents of extrajudicial killing by the police. And so therefore, it is difficult to believe that some police officials in Kenya just did it by mistake.
That was Pakistani journalist Matula Jan.